Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today is the third episode of our car rental agency project, and today we have so good to do objectives. First one is it's not in here, it's because it's a little bit objective to complete. It's going to be a little bit easy to show you how to add a result messages for proper result messages, specific result messages in our result class. There's going to be a little bit improvement in our project field. And the second one is adding a core entity with the EnumType control. With these entity types creations, I'm not going to show you to type while I was writing the fields and creating some basic service codes, because I don't want to waste your time while you are watching this. But for the complex type of, if there is something a good tip, or I just need to share it, I will just explain it to you. Do not worry about it. But for the basic stuff, technically it's just the same with the user entity, so I'm not going to show you while I was writing the same fields again and again. But for the EnumType control, I'm just going to show you a very good tip about saving your data from the different data fields. And last, I'm not sure if our time is going to be enough, but we are going to create our mapper classes with the DTO classes. It's just going to be perfect for your code improvement, and you will rather like it, because sometimes you just don't want to show some part of your entity responses. Maybe you want to hide some fields in your code, in your data. So at that time, you are just going to use your data transfer object classes. The full name of DTO is data transfer object classes. So we are going to create these DTO classes with create mappers, and these mapper classes just going to map our entity class to our DTOs for building our DTO classes. We are just going to try to use it with the user and car entity, but I'm not sure our time is going to be enough for it. But let's get deep into it. We are fully motivated in the third video. So in our application, we were just completed the result and entity of about the user. Right now, I'm just going to add a message in here, and as you can see, we are just going to need some result message in here. So let's save this as result message, and for our constructor, we are going to create a result message in here, and for our static show that message, we have to change this as how it is like this. So let me check if there is something that I can improve in here. I think it's okay. So while we were just changed, let's say the condition evolutions have been changed. Okay, let's get all our users. As you can see, our result text in here, so we can just go to let's check right now, is there something we can move in here from to anywhere else? Oh, okay, there is something that I need to do it. Let's check our controller, sorry, service class, user service. And this message text, there's something what I'm missing right now, but there should be something. Everything seems okay, but I didn't understand why it is not getting any result code and result texts for our message texts. Result message in here. Oh, but what is the problem? Maybe we can try to define this as a public, but private. Yes, that was the problem. Okay, we were defined the private, and from the outside it was not accessible, so our result message was null. This is the reason why we didn't have it in here. We didn't create it. So right now, as you can see, while we were getting all users in here, we had result message that says user listed successfully. So let's delete one of our users from here. And as you can see in result message in here, user listed successfully. When we get all users, there is a result message also says user not found. So it's very good for our little improvement in result class. So let's move on to the second part, which we are going to create our car entity with the EnumType control. Basically, what is EnumType control? For example, in this case, we are going to have our field type for our car. It's going to be electric car or diesel car or oil car. So in that position, we can define some enum classes, enum types for our car entity, and we can manage these important fields with these enum types. So from the outside, while we were saving some cars with the request, there is sometimes you can just define a field entity as a string, let's say. Someone can type from the panel or the front end, let's say for oil. Some people can write correctly as oil, but some of them type as like this. So it's going to be, there are two different field types in for one position. Just the correct one is oil, but there is going to be two for it. So we are just trying to solve this problem with the EnumType. We are going to create our enum, and we are going to create our field type enum class, field types. And there is going to be electric, oil, and let's say diesel. Okay, right now we have three field types, and we can create some classes with these field types to give some description and also ID to manage these enum types easily. For our model, we can create a new package, not Python package, normal package, name called as field type, and we can define a class inside of it. Let's say field type, and this is just going to be a basic entity like the other tables that we have. Sorry, table name, let's delete this name. What is happening? Field types. So we are going to have ID in here, and this one, and we can create, let's say it's just going to be so easy to define this as, okay, let's define like this. We are going to have field type name, column name is going to be field type name, and it's going to be enumerated from EnumType dot string. What does that mean? Actually, we are going to manage this EnumType while we were creating a class named field type. We are going to name of the enum types, not the ordinal numbers of the field types, because when you create the enum types, they are having some numbers referring to these string values. So we are just telling the Java that we are going to use the string name of them, not the ordinal number of them, and they are going to be enumerated from this value. So this is going to be field types from here, and just going to be field type, and let's say it's I think we can just add the description in here to define what is this value actually means for our database, and that's all for these field types. Right now we are just going to use this field type inside of our car entity while we were creating this entity. Let's create our car package and the car class, and this is going to be the basic entity again. Right now, for the keeping video smaller, I'm just going to create the fields for you. Right now we have to use our field type inside of this car class because every car should has one field type, but one field type can only car can only have one field type, but one field type can be used by so many cars. For example, car cannot be used by electric and diesel and oil together. I'm not talking about hybrid cars, just a normal car in our case. But for one diesel type, we can create so many cars. So there is like a many-to-one relation between the car and field type class. So in here, fetch type is going to be eager, because while I was having the cars, every time I just need the field type of it. So I just tell the Java that when you just get some request to call cars from database, just get my field type also with the cars. When you just define this as lazy, this is going to be as its name is lazy, the types of company types like field types is not going to be in here at the first time. You are just going to define call it specifically in here. So for on delete action, I'm just going to say this means if I just delete the entity of the car, is what's just going to be happen to field type. So I'm just saying action. There is no action in here. For join column, I'm just going to say that there is going to be field type ID, and nullable is going to be false because I don't want this field is going to be empty, and it's not enum, as you can see, it's just entity in here. And I'm just telling Java that when you have this car entity, just join column this field type as field type ID. So I defined my car entity. Also, let's define our service, but first repository, sorry. And this is going to be car repository. All for this, and we can also create a field interface for field types, and let's have this one maybe yes. What does that mean? Like, yeah, we can create it. Field type, sorry, and we can extend sorry something like extends from JPA field type and long repository. Okay, right now we created our field type. Also in here I can create a field type named package and refactor this, and we have our repository. We can create our service or our car, sorry, car service, but first car service, this one. We can get these methods from here to for our car. Basically it's just going to be the same, get all cars. Right now we are just giving some, and we need to create a request class in here. Update car, delete car ID. Okay, I'm just going to create the car request class and show it to you. Okay, as you can see, I just create the car request class in here, and I am just using not the class type of field type. I just create the EnumType in here. I'm just going to, because why I'm defining this, while you were sending a request, you have to write one of these EnumTypes to request. So you cannot just type diesel in like this with the two L's, or maybe there is like a A in here. So there is no way to make mistakes while you're just getting some requests from this field. So right now, just create the request class, and we can create our service from the methods from here. Let's say this is car requests. This one gets car by ID, get all cars, save car, update car. Okay, I'm just going to define the car service class with the basic ones, and then we will move on. Okay, as you can see, I have just created the car service class with the service notation and requirement arguments constructor to call car repository in here. And I'm just going to create the first like all cars and car by ID method by itself, and then we will move on again. Okay, I just created the basic service methods for our project to not waste your time. As you can see, I just called the find all method in car repository in here. If there is an empty list from the response of this repository, I set to user cars not found. But if there is something that I can show it to user, I just give the parameter of car list and say cars listed successfully. And for by ID, I just do the basically the same, but I just check for ID first. If there is some null value, I can say car ID cannot be empty. And for car repository, while I was trying to find by ID, I use optional class because there could be some empty. I'm not sure we just talk about this in user, but I can just tell you that optional classes defines this car and encapsulates this car as it's going to be null, or there could be some instance. So you are not getting any null pointer exception with this optional encapsulation wrapper class. So for car, I'm just checking that if it is present. If it's present, I can say car found successfully, but for not found, I can just tell the user it's not found. For delete car, I just check the ID, and for optional car, I'm just trying to find it. If it's present, I'm just trying to do this delete transaction with the try catch, and if there's some exception, I can just tell the user error occurred while deleting the car, and there's a return message. If car is not present, I'm just going to tell the user car is not found. It is easy to trace. So right now we are just going to do the car request, but I'm not sure we just created our, okay, we didn't make it. Let's create our private result check constraints class in here. Do this in my projects like this. So I'm just going to get everything that we have, brand here, and maybe description, get plates and daily price, but there is no daily price. Get description, year, brand, plates, model, and maybe the field type also. This is model and plates, description, year, and brand. Okay, why this one is actually the same? Gets brand is empty. If it's null, there is not going to be a problem, but this one is the correct one. Okay. But okay. Okay, when you define this check constraints class, you can use this wherever in your service methods if you have more like so many services when your project gets bigger. So we can just check our constraints from here. If result, that's result message, equals to our let's say our result get result code is I think it's not okay. Sorry, that's my mistake. I need to check the result code for server. Error is 1. So if our get result code is equal to 1, I can just return result in here. Just tell that the user, and there is a server error, so I can just show it to the message text to the user. So I can create my builder class in here like this, but in here we are just going to define this field types, final field type repository. In here we are just going to convert this as a service in the next video, but right now let's use it in that way. Let's find our field type from we need to define field type, find field type by field type, and we are just going to define this as a field types. What are we going to do this in here? This repository method is going to get a field types EnumType from our parameter, and it's just going to find the field type class, not enum, from the database, and it's just going to return to us from a repository. So we are just going to use this field type inside of this field type field. So this field type in here, it's just going to be in car. This field type is going to be come from to our database, from field type database. So when we created our car, we can just create our try catch to save our car, and car saved successfully. If there is an error while saving a car. This is basically what we are going to do. And right now we can just check if any car in this ID, if car is empty, we just don't need to check there is two constraints, because we know that there is already not car, so there is some error. If everything is okay, we need to find two field type from the car request, so we can just get the, we can update whatever we want from, and that's all for update class in here. So we defined our service. We can create our controller as a package again, car controller, request mapping this controller, and this request mapping is going to be not this one, car version 1, right, arguments constructor. Okay, I need to check that this one is the same. Okay, I need to import this class in here, get mapping for get all cars, and get car by ID. I need to get this fields. Okay, I need to get a request param in here, and maybe the get mapping, but post mapping to save car. We are just going to have a car request in here and some result return type. And for post mapping, update car. Request param is the car ID, body is the car request to update our car. For deleting car, we can use again the request param. So right now our controller is ready to go. We can check it out if everything is okay, and we can test our requests. Not right now. Let's say get all cars in here. Car, all cars. As you can see, there is no car found. We can create a folder in here to subpackage all our requests to trace them together. We can just save a car in here. Save car. As you can see in here it says request body is missing, so we are understanding from the error message we have to insert some requests in here. Let's see, what do we have? Brand, and model, on plates, maybe the year, yes, description, a basic description that we can give it to in here, and the field type. Let's say I want to do like this. I just mistyped, and when I just send it, you can see that JSON parse error and tells me that cannot deserialize a value of type from here. I can just define a message from this field type. If in here, let's see, if field type is empty, field type not found, I can send a request again. From string oil, not one of the values accepted for enum class oil, electric, diesel. So I'm just sending oil, and as you can see there is an error, field type not found. Let's see what is our mistake. Why our field type is empty? Because we didn't create any field types inside our database. First, we need to create a field type for our project, but we didn't define a controller for field type. So let's do it from the database. Field type ID, field type name, and this is just oil, and diesel, and electric. We have 3 of our field types, but let's see, why do we not have any field type? Okay, for oil cars, for cars, for electric cars. So we can just use this name inside our postman to save a car. As you can see, car saved successfully. And right now when we get our all cars, okay bro, calm down, what happened to you? Type the simple type. Okay guys, after a long search in our code, I found out my mistake, that I used this fetch type as lazy. The mistake, the thing that I was explaining to you if you use lazy notation in here while you were getting the cars, the field type is going to be null, and this is going to be a JSON bind error because you are defining this as a lazy, but it should be as eager to have this data while we get the car entity. So when we have the cars as fetch type eager in this field type, as you can see right now I have my car, brand, model, plate, year, description, and field type. So as you can see, while I was saving a car, I have to define a field type with the restricted values, so it's very forbidden to use another value for field type. And I can right now filter and sort my car data from our field type. You can use this data approach in or maybe in your brand if you have maybe the list of the brands that you are maybe have an arrangement, so you can only use these brands. Maybe the models, if you have like a small list of values. Maybe for the plates it's just forbidden to use any other plate to just get registered in your get all car save car method. Well, like maybe it's a good approach also for this case, but as you can see, it is a good approach to restrict the user to use some fields, some values. It's good actually. So like we created our car entity and EnumType control for this. Right now I want to just add the requests and DTOs and the mapper classes. It's just a like a small thing, but it's a very good approach. So I just want to show you. I know that this video is just going to be a longer than the other ones, but it's just a good approach, and I don't want to make the videos a little bit empty to make the series longer, because there's like so many things that we are going to discuss it in the future. So right now, like I know that it's a little bit more, but let's do it together. Right now we are just need to define our, let's say, a mapper package in here, mappers, and I can define, let's say, user to user DTO mapper, and I also need to define a model DTO package, and I can say user DTO. And right now I can just create my user DTO as, let's say, I just need to give it's just the same with the request classes. It depends on which values you want to give her as a response. So let's go to our entity and decide which fields are we just going to show the user. For example, I don't want to just show to password and password and maybe the identity number I don't want to show to everyone. Like, okay, what are you doing, mate? What is your problem? Okay, let's delete our passport also, this column names and identity number, and okay, that's good. Right now we are just going to create our mapper class from these fields, and we can go to our mappers, and we are going to create a public static user DTO. It's just going to return a user DTO and map to user DTO mapper, and it's just going to get a user as a parameter from here, from entity, of course, from DTO. And as you can see, it's just going to create a new user DTO class with the fields that we are going to matched from the service. We can use this map the user DTO mapper static method from our service class. Let's see how we are going to do that. For example, you want to just like, let's do it in here. For example, you want to create a user DTOs, but not this one. as users, and for each user I'm just going to like user to user DTO mapper map the user. I'm just creating a list with the user DTO array list, and I'm just sending every user from our users list to, but it's just going to be in here, to our map the user DTO mapper function, and we are just having some return as DTO, and we are adding this DTO value in our array list. So in here I'm just going to return the DTO users, and it's just going to be a user DTO. In user service it's just going to be a user DTO, and also in user controller it's just user DTO. Okay, let's try out our get all users method in here, but we don't have any users. So let's say one user. Let's say I have my passport, username and identity number in here. I saved my user, but right now in here, as you can see, I have only my username, email, phone number, first name and last name. So while you were referring some, reflecting some objects from one possible way to another method, let's see, let's say it just this endpoint is just going to be used in somewhere else, and I just don't want to show my information in here. Some important information, because when we move on there is going to be some details about the role of this user when we add the user details in here, about this user is valid or this user has an important role in our backend. So these important fields and values are the one of the most important things in our code, so we cannot share these fields with the users and from the endpoints. So we have to hide these values from the outside. We can define these mapper classes to make it for ourselves. Also, for this approach, I can just share you an idea about the mapper. There is some, I just forgot the name of that structure, but I always forget about it. So I will just type the name of that structure from the comments. I think you can find it from there, and you can just investigate about it, find some research about it. So it's just also a good approach to hide some values from the outside, and you can use it also. For today, that's all for me. For the next part, we are just going to create our other entities, and I just really want to move to the new technologies that I want to show you. So maybe in the next video we are just going to be faster than normal. So take care of yourself, have a nice day. I hope you like this theory, and if you like it, please think about subscribe and like. See you again in the next episode.